Welcome back on the AM show. Like you can see behind me, we're talking security now. And without that, there's nowhere, which way would our country be headed? So we're talking security on the back of the latest attacks on security operatives and all the different dynamics surrounding those issues. And we have a crack team joining us for that discussion. We'll be engaging Adib Sani, a security analyst. We'll also have Justin Poivra Terewaja, a legal practitioner, as well as Peter Lansheni Tobu, Member of Parliament for Wa West and a former Superintendent of Police, Superintendent retired Tobu. I just want to say a very good morning to all of you. Adib, Justin, Peter, for those of you who are aboard, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
All right. So I'll start with you, Supo. On the back of the latest developments, you have been in the service, in the police service, and you've seen the recent spate of attacks. Interestingly, what we saw in Axim, what we've seen, I just forget the location, but with those other police officers in a drug-related matter who were assaulted, one beaten with a pestle and all of that. And then the latest one, which has to do with that officer who was nearly strangled in that latest video. What do you make of these developments? What does it mean to our security network?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our cherished listeners and viewers.
Mm-hmm. I would appreciate it if you could speak up a little bit. I'm struggling to hear you.
Thank you. Security, we say, is a shared responsibility. The collective nature. Can you hear me clear now? Can you hear me clear now?
I can hear you. It's still a little, but you go ahead. I'll strain to hear.
The collective nature of security requires deeper understanding by both the practitioners and those who are the beneficiaries of this practice. Police-public relations is a very important area for us to look at as a country if we want to enjoy security under our democratic dispensation. Because a strong police organization actually emboldens our democratic credentials. A weak police institution makes democracy a joke, because we're talking about respect for the rights of the citizen. We're talking about professionalism of the police officer. We're talking about meeting public expectations. What is happening of late? Probably it used to happen, but because of the power of social media, within a split second, whatever happened in the darkest corner of this country will become news and become public. That notwithstanding, it is happening. And because it is happening, we should ask ourselves, why are the people who are sworn to protect the citizens being attacked? I have taken an oath to serve you. I've taken an oath to provide you security. Why are you attacking me? The second question should be, you have taken an oath to serve them. Why are you exploiting them? Why are you providing substandard service? So both from the public side and from the police side, what are the shortcomings that are gradually probably creating this mistrust? And it is just this mistrust that comes about, and all of a sudden the public do not trust the police. And if the public do not trust the police, that public confidence will wane, and the police officer will be hanging in the area of attempting to be professional. What we've seen over the past days, the fact is, if you look at the National Security Strategy document, it is clearly stated in there that the greatest threat to our national security is youth unemployment. Many of these frustrated young people with all the degrees that we think they should have to make life a worth living are walking around our streets without hope. And the sense of hopelessness is just a recipe for anger. So when you find a police officer who tries to do his professional job against a young man who thinks that there's nothing in this country for him, he's so hopeless in his heart, the reaction will always be a negative one. And this banter between police and the public is a banter that is not sustainable if we love our democracy. It's a banter that we should all rise up to say it is wrong, wrong on the side of the police, wrong on the side of the citizens. We need responsible citizens. We need professional police institutions. So sometimes we point the finger at the police alone. Why will a policeman be kneeling down to plead that he should not be attacked, he should not be killed when he's in uniform? It is training, and you need to be smart. The first principle is survival. You need to survive to be able to serve. When we talk about protection of life and property, your own life is first. You've got to protect your own life before you protect the lives of others. So when you find yourself in a very uncompromising situation, I think that I can be killed, I can be lynched. Use your common sense. The bullet is not an answer to matters of insecurity. Peace do not come as a result of the use of bullets. Peace comes as a result of us joining and understanding that you have a role to play, I have a role to play, and we have a constitution that is underscoring every activity in this country. When we respect our constitution and we allow roles by various institutions to be clearly defined and played out well, the civilian will know that I have rights enshrined in the constitution. And if the police officer offends me, there are procedures that I can follow to ensure that this police officer is punished. Are we fast enough to show to the public that when a police officer is wrong and investigations are conducted, the results are made public for us to know the outcome? Are we building confidence in the public? And you are the police officer as well. You've gone into an environment and you think that, no, I have to do my work. Unprofessionalism comes out when you begin not to follow the rules. And there you attract the anger of the public. May I say, let this suffice for my first comments.
Now, taking a cue from what you've said, you've spoken about police officers kneeling, begging for their very lives. But in the spate of just a week and a half or two, we've seen it happen twice. What does that tell you?
It tells us that we have a problem as a country. Either we have a very impatient population, we have a very frustrated, teeming youth, unemployed, angry at all times, ready to attack. It tells us that probably our national security color could be moving from green to yellow. It tells us, as a people, that we should begin to look at police-public relations. That as the police institution grows in numbers, heading towards 50,000, and as the citizens become more complicated and sophisticated, we need to think differently. The 1990 policing style cannot be used in 2023. And we need to invest heavily in police training. We need to invest heavily in police recruitment and positive vetting. And we need to get the best in there. You see, when we want to get the best security for this country, we need to put our best in there. And all of us, as a people, if we believe that security is paramount, because without security we can't have development, let's all agree that what is wrong in the area of security recruitment is wrong. And let's stop it. And let's put our best brains, best limbs in the security sector, so that when you find them out there, as weak as you may look, as exposed as you may look, the sight of a police officer alone should give you hope, because we have some of our best hands in uniform. Until we get there, we have a collective responsibility to speak out and do what is right.
And while that gets rather problematic, in the past, you would see a police officer and the thought of even attacking such a person would be taboo in your mind, not to talk of actually actuating that or, actualizing it, bringing it to bear. We're seeing it happen. In recent times, we've seen the military also engage in some things. Credibility-wise, not just within the police, but even extending it to the military, is something being lost? What is the trigger, do you think? Because you've said a number of things, but what do you think is the fundamental trigger that is causing this?
Let me be honest with you. If we do politics with security, we get what we are getting. This build-up of unprofessionalism, build-up of the emboldening of the citizens to be attacking police, didn't just happen. I remember somewhere in 1996, 98, when the late Peter Nanfuri was the Inspector General of Police. may his soul rest in peace, 2 young men, Ninja and his brother, were killed in Ablekuma. You saw the police reaction. These young men were killed by civilians. And it all had to do with land-related matters. Do we have the full investigative report made public? What were the police officers doing there? Were they really there to serve? Why did they kill them? Would any killing ever be justified under our laws? No. But how were they emboldened to do such a dastardly act? Did we take it as a measure to investigate and use it as just a tip of the iceberg to find out how can we prevent death? People attacking police stations, attacking men and women in uniform, when in fact they had sworn an oath to serve them. The question is, are you really serving when you find yourself in that uniform? On the other side, are your expectations being met by the people who are in uniform to give you the security and protection? Are they exploiting you? Are they becoming unprofessional? Are they abusing their authority? Finally, they become the enemy and not the friend. Because when you go to every police station, it is written there, every caller is a potential ally. So if every caller is a potential ally, the duty of a police officer is to respect the rights of every citizen. The police do not have the right to punish. And that is why in the criminal justice system, the police activate the criminal justice system. And the court pick it up. If the court pick it up and you are finally convicted, you serve in prison. But the policeman do not have the right to punish. The police only uses force and say minimum force when it is required. And that force must be proportional to the level of resistance. Any force that is unproportional, killing a fly with a sledgehammer, you are going to attract public uproar. And gradually people will begin to think that you are abusing your power and punishing the very people you have been sworn to serve. That becomes antagonistic. And that relationship is not a relationship we want between the police and the public. So this is actually the cat and mouse issue. I'm looking at when NCC will open its game so that we'll have responsible citizens, citizens that are conscious of their own rights, citizens that know what to do if their rights are being violated. And we'll have professional police officers who take an oath to say, I want to serve Mother Ghana, even at the peril of my life.
To wrap up the conversation, just to share your final thoughts, I know you're also concerned about what is happening in the Boku area. You can make that one of your final comments. But what do we do in this particular situation as far as our security operatives are concerned? What do we do from the end of the Ghana Police Service? What do we do from the end of the civilian population? How can the NCCE, for example, step in education-wise? And then maybe, since you still fall in that catchment area, you can share with me what maybe you think are the ways forward in the Boku situation.
Thank you very much. As a member of parliament representing the people of Huawei, I talk about the people. What should I do to have very responsible citizens in Huawei? My role as a member of parliament is to let them appreciate the fact that anytime you see somebody in uniform, that person is not an enemy. That person is out there to provide you security and protect you. So if you see the person in uniform behaving otherwise, I've said that it is not the uniform that makes the officer. The uniform is symbolic of authority, but it is the training that makes the officer. So, and by virtue of your training, your actions will show professionalism. If your actions are not showing professionalism, let the citizen know the right steps to take. It is not about molesting the police officer or lynching the police officer. I also want to say that the Ghana Police Service should at least begin to look at their deployment plan. They should review deployment concepts. I want to introduce what we call the buddy system.
The what system?
Buddy system.
Buddy?
Yes.
As in B-U-D-D-Y?
Yes.
Okay.
The buddy system says, do not deploy a single police officer anywhere. At least there should be 2. And those 2 people deployed to a particular duty point should have a link to a rapid deployment unit. That in case of any attack and their lives are in danger and they are overwhelmed with numbers and they cannot survive, within 10 minutes, the rapid response unit should appear on the scene. And if the rapid response unit fails and it becomes chaotic, you stretch your hand to invite the Ghana Armed Forces. That is the last phase of the strata. So if we review our deployment plan and ensure that police officers on duty know they have a backup. And that backup is just 10 minutes away. And the civilians know, if you touch this man standing here, you are touching the whole of the Ghana Police Service, and in 10 minutes they will descend on you. Some level of sanity will be returning to our security institutions. We should also look at establishing the Independent Police Complaints Commission. Should the police continue to investigate themselves? They are doing very well, but do we believe in the report? There is a lot of mistrust. There is a lot of suspicion. But if it's an independent body that investigates matters of this nature, I'm sure that all of us will come to appreciate the fact that the report can actually build models for training. The final one I would say is that let's strengthen the police standards, the Police Standards Bureau. The Professional Standards Bureau of the Police Service is an internal mechanism that will ensure that discipline is maintained. Let's strengthen the Professional Standards Bureau. As for recruitment, as I've always said, let's go back to the basics. You cannot get people uniform to wear when they have not gone through positive vetting. It will come back to bite us. There are many people in the uniform and they are not supposed to be in uniform, but they are looking for a job to earn a salary at the end of the month. The passion to wear the uniform is not there. They want salary, and in fact, they want money. If you are looking for money and you find yourself wearing any of the uniforms, you are out there for danger. And you are actually a danger to the security system that you serve. And that is not the right thing to do. We should be bold as a country. If the young people are not getting jobs, let's be innovative to create jobs. But if we think that the dumping ground is men and women, is a place for men and women in uniform, we will dump dangerous materials. And when they wear the uniform and come out, they will come back to bite us.
Super. We're grateful that you've taken the time to join this conversation. I just thought of this.
Let me just make a single statement about Boko and we make progress.
Go ahead.
Great. Boko has become chronic, unfortunately. And over 10 years, I have repeated this statement. Send 10,000 soldiers to Boko, 10,000 police officers to Boko. That is not a panacea. That cannot be a solution. We can be doubling up the numbers. The police and soldiers are in Boko to provide an enabling environment for a solution to be found. So if we fail as a country to find a solution, don't blame the soldiers and don't blame the police. Their presence there is to create a kind of buffer for sanity to return periodically so that we, the country, leadership of this country, will dig deeper to find a lasting solution to the Boko crisis. It is embarrassing to the image of this country, and I think that it's embarrassing to the people of Boko themselves. And as a Northerner, as I speak to you, sometimes I feel embarrassed, as if we can't resolve that problem. There is no problem that cannot be resolved. We've gone around this world in very petty conflict situations. Today, they are back to normal. The countries are picking up. What is it that in Boko that we cannot be frank? If truth stands and justice prevails, the Boko conflict will become a thing of the past. Let's not rely on soldiers and police to provide us a solution. The solution do not lie within their confines. It lies within politics and civil society. The police and soldiers will provide us that space. Let's take advantage of the space that is provided and find a lasting solution. But I'm putting something together to address to the president. We need to bring the Speaker of Parliament involved in this matter. I think that he has the credibility, he has the neutrality or the impartiality, he has the experience to be able to look at his own brothers in the face and say, let's sit down and look at what we can do. This is long too much. From 1958, we have never stopped fighting. When will it end? It must end, and it must end now.
Super. We're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. And that is Superintendent Lanshene Tobu, Member of Parliament for Wa West. He has been with the police service. Let's bring in Adib Sani now, a security analyst. And because we had to let go of Lanshene Tobu, I couldn't run this by him. He had to go. But I saw a comment on our Facebook live stream. He is saying civilians should use the security procedure, but here is the case where when you take your issues through the right channels, nothing is done. I want you to look at all of these occurrences. We've had cause to deliberate with you on some of them. Now this has happened. What is the trigger? Do you agree with Lanshene Tobu? And how do you react to those who say that when you go through the right channels in dealing with your issues, the police does nothing about it. And so now the resort is to these other extreme measures. Adib.
Well, I think it is a plethora of issues that comes together to form a cocktail that we are seeing blow out in our face. It is safe to say that there appears to be a breakdown in trust, confidence, and communication between civilians on one hand and the police. And that, I must say, is disturbing. However, one of the reasons we've gotten to where we are today is the lack of confidence in the justice system. Because in the past, there's been a number of cases in which police have allegedly misconducted themselves. They've behaved unprofessionally. And by the way, that is no justification for any act of aggression against a police officer. I'm not seeking to rationalize any such behavior, but it's just to put our discussion in context. And when they go through the so-called right process or procedure, nothing comes out of it. And I can give you a number of cases. One of it involved a gentleman who was coming from a nature's call in Kumasi, to be specific, Kofum, some years ago. I understand there were some skirmishes. However, he had nothing to do with what was going on. He was allegedly beaten by the police. He died. And according to the autopsy report, he died of a heart attack, and that was the end of the case. Now we can talk about the multimedia journalist, Latif, who was allegedly assaulted. To date, we are yet to find closure to the issue. And it's quite obvious that nobody is ready for a settlement. They wanted to go through the process. So be it. There was also a case involving some Ghanaian Times reporters, which included a pregnant woman.
A pregnant woman, I remember.
Allegedly,
I remember.
Good. They were allegedly assaulted. And not too long ago, somewhere, I think in the western or central region, a journalist went to take pictures of some accidented cars parked at the police station. And he was also allegedly attacked. Then there was this other one in which a journalistic instinct kicked in, and he took picture of a man in cuffs eating at a chop bar. And he was also assaulted. So you see, all of these without repercussions, without accountability, is what is making a lot of Ghanaians feel that, hey, we cannot trust the police to investigate the police. And I couldn't have agreed with Lancheni more. We need an independent police complaints commission if really we are committed to restoring that trust and confidence the people have in the police. Because quite obviously, what is happening now is as a result of the breakdown of that trust and confidence. And in what we call the 9 pillar principles of modern day policing, Supo has touched a bit of it, which was propounded by Sir Robert Peel, the founder of Metropolitan Policing and who is best known as the father of modern day policing. He propounded some 9 theories about how policing should be done. And the central theme for those 9 theories is based on the fact that without the civilians, the police cannot fulfill their mandate. And the civilians should see the police as having been authorized by them to do a job on their behalf. And it also categorically states that the more force you use in certain situations, the less you're likely to have the people cooperate with you. So as much as the police can, they should use less force, which, by the way, should be proportional to the threats and not overly exaggerated, and you would have the people cooperate with you. But today, is that what we see? And I must say that that is really disturbing, because if care is not taken, very soon we might be talking about a life lost as a result of this breakdown. So this is time for us to work to improve the status quo. If not, we might be heading towards a very dangerous path.
Just hold for me. Let me bring in Justin Teriwaja. He's a legal practitioner. He joins us via the phone lines. Mr. Teriwaja, so what do you make of these latest happenings from the legal angle and from the security standpoint? Are we losing the plot?
From the
In fact, the two of them have taken the wind out of my sails. Hadith Sani just mentioned the issue of lack of confidence in the criminal justice delivery system, and also lack of confidence in holding police accountable, and that's what he both of them talked about, the issue of the independent police complaints.
So literally, they have stressed those important points, but open our eyes, per the law, these actions of civilians, we know that when these people who are service operatives wear their clothes, it appears, if I hear correctly, do we have Justin? It appears we've lost Mr. Teriwaja there. I wanted to find out from the legal end of things what power these people are clothed with and how civilians, per the law, should interact with them, and whether, these actions taken in the right context, what measures, how they can be dealt with. But let me come back to Adib Sani. So we've got to this point where it appears we're losing our respect for the black or the navy blue of our police officers, and even in some instances, the camouflage of our military officials. I remember, I've forgotten whether it's Suleimana Brahima this morning or Lanshini Tobu, who spoke about the fact that the political element, I think it was Suleimana Brahima, the political elements in there are becoming problematic to deal with because there's a lot of infiltration from the parties in power. How do we deal with that situation? We keep talking about it. Is there any end in sight?
Yeah, I think Honorable Lasheni touched on that too. You see, we need to unmarry, so to speak, politics from mainstream security, because the moment you bring it together, you dilute, you compromise security in the first place. And I think this draws us back to the issue of recruitment. Unfortunately, it is alleged that some people are able to get through just by virtue of their membership of a political party. And this, I must say, cuts across the political divide. The protocol list is destroying the police service. The protocol list is destroying the police service, and it is compromising them. And until we address that, and this is even on the back of what happened some few years ago, in which some persons were recruited, they were made to go through the process only for us to get to know, just as they were about to finish the training, that the certificates they provided were not authentic. So, Benjamin, if you are not able to do something as basic as confirming the authenticity of certificates provided by potential recruits, how much more can you do? Do we do backgrounds, their criminal history? Do we take the trouble to go back to their alma mater and ascertain what they are?
But to be fair on that angle, you know that many of our tertiary institutions, for example, they would take you on your word, accept you based on what evidence you presented. But like the University of Ghana, my alma mater, over the coming months or over the months when you've been enrolled, they'll still be checking. And when they find out that your documentation is incorrect, then they suspend your admission and the right processes follow. You get it? Isn't it saying that is happening in the police? Is that wrong?
No, what I'm saying is before the recruitment happens, all of these should be done. For crying out loud, this is a security service. Okay, if care is not taken, you recruit the wrong persons who might end up giving critical information to the criminals. All right, so there is no room for mediocrity. All of these should be satisfactory, including the backgrounds. What he used to be in the past. Was he a petty criminal? Was he a pickpocket? All of these. But these days, with just a protocol, what we call it, notes, people are able to get through. And that, I must say, is worrying. And this is what is adding to, because you are growing up in a community with certain individuals, you know each other's attitudes, you know the kind of person A is. The next minute, A is a police officer. What would your perceptions be about the police? Okay, so I think for us to be able to address this, we have to be holistic, we have to be multidimensional, and we need to look at it from the short to medium to long term to be able to deal with it. The training regime also comes to play, Akako. What training do we give them? Is it all about the guns? Can the police fulfill their mandate effectively without holding a rifle? What democratic police principles do we instill in these officers? I think this is important because if you have a police institution without accountability, you're bound to have resistance invariably from the civilian population. So these are very important issues we really need to take into consideration. The issue of sensitivity training as well, you know, when the way you are even stopped in traffic, my friend, stop, you know, on top of his voice. When you go to other jurisdictions, if you are stopped, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, vehicle registration and license. And he runs it through the system. If you have no issue, have a nice day. But in Ghana, even if you ask questions, it becomes a problem because you think you know too much. And sometimes you are hauled to the police station and they ensure that they waste the whole day. I'm not opining that all officers are like that. We have refined, very committed, selfless, patriotic officers who want to do their work, okay? But they find themselves within a certain body that is not encouraging enough to get them to do their work. As a result, you have cases of good officers go bad because they found themselves within that bad group. And that is also a major cause for concern.
Hold for me, Adib. Let me bring in Mr. Terry Waja. The connection unfortunately failed earlier. Our apologies for that. I was posing the question about the legal dimensions of the power that these security operatives are clothed with and how civilians, per the law, should engage them. I just want you to educate all of us so that people know in dealing with security operatives, this is what we should do. And what should the security operatives also do in dealing with civilians?
Okay, thank you. It's a pretty much a straightforward matter. The police are empowered by law to stop people, arrest, search, and prosecute if they get evidence that the person or persons have committed any crime. And so there's the need for the public to cooperate with them. In fact, the resistant arrest in itself is even a crime, assuming that you are innocent. You are squeaky clean and you believe you have done nothing. Even if the police stop you and they arrest you and you believe you are innocent, you still have to comply. So resisting to the point of trying to seize the weapon of a police officer, I mean, it's something to the limit. It's just unacceptable. And to that extent, if a policeman ends up hurting you, you have caused it, because then you are resisting arrest in actual fact. And what I saw there, that the policeman was virtually being, so many people setting upon him and almost to the point of strangling him, is just unacceptable. And I think it is a matter that borders on ignorance of those people, because this was a situation where they were being filmed on camera, and yet they persisted in doing what they were doing with careless abandon. And when I saw videos like that, I was like, no, these people are clearly ignorant as to where their rights begin and end. And the other video I saw was about police assistants being lashed with sticks and beaten in all directions to solve. And you know, this is not a policeman strictly speaking. Now, you widen the lens, and you see that they even extend it to the military officers. We have Major Mahama, who is dead now, may his soul rest in peace. We have the incident at Ashaiman, and you see that it is it's a trend in the country for now that people take the law into their own hands. The other speakers have talked about the confidence in the police, but I think it goes beyond confidence in the police, because if you look at it, it's not limited to police-civilian interaction. It goes beyond that, and there are even instances of lynching of ordinary people on the streets. So I think it is a canker in our society that needs to be looked at. Education, yes, and in all of this, we don't even hear the institution of state per the Constitution that is in charge of educating the masses on issues like that. That is NCCE. Where is NCCE in this? Because they are supposed to be educating the masses on some of these things. We don't see them. I understand they are not well resourced, but what at all are they doing in issues like that? Because education of the public is important in some of these, so they know where their rights begin and where their rights end, and how to interact with the police and other security services in this. So even the military, sometimes when people speak, they are like, okay, have confidence in the military, but not the police. But the military are not left out, as we are seeing now. So it goes beyond the police, and I think we should widen our lenses and look at the real problem. For me, I think one, ignorance and illiteracy are some of the factors, and then secondly, confidence in the justice delivery system. Be it reporting police and other security services for administrative disciplinary trial or investigation leading to trial and accountability. How well is that being done? There's a question mark there. And that is where there's talk of the Independent Police Complaints Commission. But I think even if we go further, it should go beyond that to police governance. Police governance in the sense of who are the commanders at the various levels. At the station level, where you have a station, an inspector who is in charge of the station officer at the police station. You move to the district level, you have the district commander, the divisional, the regional, and up to IGP. Now, if you look at it from that angle, you see that it is so much interfered with by people who wield power in various ways. So sometimes the police, yes, we can blame them, but they may arrest someone, investigations are going on, and then calls by powerful people are made to thwart investigations or to influence investigations negatively. And policemen who do not play along sometimes are punished. I mean, these are facts. They may be punished by negative transfers in various ways. Some are even taken off cases. I'm a former policeman, and I hear stories. So some of these things try to undermine confidence in the police. So to what extent are we ready to educate the public and let them understand their rights when they deal with the security services, and even when they deal with ordinary citizens? And then when cases are taken up by the police, how professionally are these cases investigated and handled to the point of prosecution, even in court, and accountability for breaches of the law? And that is where I think we have a big problem in this country, until we really look ourselves in the mirror and look at the issue of rule of law. Where are we found wanting? And where are the weak links in our justice delivery system that we need to plug? We are going nowhere. Until we do that, we are not going anywhere.
Until we do that, we're going nowhere. I'll come to you for your final comments about those loopholes and what can be done about them, and how we can get somewhere from where we are now, which, according to you, is a place where we're not going anywhere. But I'll come back to you, Adib. So we've enumerated part of the problems, not all of them, but a lot of them. What then is the way forward to stem the tide of this? Because we saw Axim. We saw the other one where these police assistants were being beaten mercilessly. Now we've seen another incident where a police officer is being strangled. We shouldn't wait for it to happen again. What do we do? How do we forestall similar happenings? Moving on.
Well, first of all, I think we need to build institutional capacity to advance the rule of law. A lot of this is as a result of impunity. There's too much impunity in the system. I mean, people do as they wish and are left off the hook. But if we have the right institutions who have the capacity and the capability to advance the rule of law, I think that helps. And that should work hand in hand with the education bit of it, for people to understand the nuances. But if people understand and test the systems, and the systems don't work, then you're back to square zero. So I think this should work hand in hand. The training regime is also extremely important. We keep talking about democratic policing. To what extent is our policing democratic? And the one surest way to achieve that is through the training regime, sensitivity training, how to relate with the communities, and that should tie into community outreach. I mean, sometimes you see police officers patrolling in their pickup trucks. They are near you, yet they are far away from you. So we need to bring policing to the doorsteps of the people. They have to walk on foot, knock on doors, on businesses, ask people if they are okay, what their menacing security challenges are, and what the police can do to improve their services. Let's have that communication channel in which people can easily reach out to the police to discuss everyday issues, including how the people themselves can help the police. And this also ties us down to another issue of neighborhood watch. To improve community security, there are some neighborhoods, such as Tesano, Kwashiman, La Paz, Fadama, who have brought themselves together and formed a very robust neighborhood watch. I met them, just that they lack the resources, and they've been working closely with the police. And they would be the conduit between the civilians and the police, and that would definitely foster that unity, that trust and confidence between the two separate entities going forward. But generally, we need to improve accountability, and I still insist the need for the establishment of the Independent Police Complaints Commission if really we are committed to dealing with this situation once and for all.
Adib Sani, thank you so much for having joined the conversation. We're grateful, sir. He is a security analyst. I'll take your final words, sir. Justin.
Okay. Yeah, my final words are these. How can we insulate the police from untoward interference in the performance of their work to ensure that rule of law will prevail? That is the big question for us.
Okay.
It is because people believe that, or people have the perception that if they are patient and will go through the motions with the system, they may not get what they want. And that is why they will lynch other people on the streets. They will lynch even to the point of lynching Major Mahama, and not only the police. So then the issue is, education is one, but apart from education, the education must be reinforced by a system that people can have confidence in. And what we have now is a system where there is so much influence peddling, to the point of the influence peddling influencing who even gets to become a policeman. And so square pegs are put in round holes, all the way up to even police commanders. So to what extent can we as a society prevent this from continuing? If we can nip this in the bud, we should not be having this discussion. We should rather be talking about police using their powers beyond what is permitted by law, like you see in advanced democracies, that people cry foul when the police exceed their limits. We should not have a situation where ordinary people turn on the police and then the police are now being victimized by ordinary people. It's like a rat chasing a cat. I mean, this shouldn't happen. So we should be able to elevate our police to a certain pedestal where it commands respect, and the respect is reinforced by the structure in which the police operates, and then backed by education. And I think this is where our NCCE should be resourced and made to take the front seat, because I don't see them at all. We only hear once in a while somebody is appointed to NCCE, and that's all. And that news flash, that's all. We don't hear anything about their activities until another time there's an appointment made there. You know, so we really have to look at ourselves in the mirror,
right,
find out where our problems are, and then solve them as a people. Else, all of this will just be a talk shop, and we keep talking every now and then. I remember when Honorable Peter Tobu was talking about, he went all the way back to the 1990s. So these are the current problems. They keep coming. People attack the police. We talk, we go to sleep, and then it comes again. It cycles out, and it doesn't help.
Justin, thank you so much for having joined the conversation, and we're grateful for your time, sir. That is Justin Poivra Terewaja. He's a legal practitioner. So we've had on this conversation, we've had Superintendent Peter Lansheni Tobu, retired, of course, Member of Parliament for Wawes. We also had Adib Sani, a security analyst, and Justin Poivra Terewaja, a legal practitioner. Hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation, but it's an eye-opener for all of us, and I hope we'll all take stock of what we have to do, whether you're in uniform as a police officer or other official of state, or you're a civilian. We all have to play our role to safeguard the security we enjoy in Ghana. Well, coming up next, today being a Monday, as promised, we're hitting the streets, we're hitting the office of Cecil Gabra. It's all about Drive Safe up next on the AM show. And after that, when we return into the studio, we'll be getting interactive with you.